AM and FM, WCSR, Hillsdale. Thrilled to have the voice of Detroit Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit, Mario Impemba, with us tonight. Mario, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing great. Not as good as we were before yesterday when we heard about Victor Martinez. Obviously, Mario, you're with the team all summer long. Before we talk about what the Tigers are going to do from here, just talk about the impact that Victor had on the team last season.
Well, he had a tremendous impact. I think, coming into spring training last year, everybody was excited that finally there was somebody to hit behind Miguel Cabrera. They had walked Cabrera 32 times intentionally in 2010, and, they basically just pitched around him because he had nobody batting behind him with any authority. So, in steps Martinez, a guy hits 330, knocks in 100 runs, and all of a sudden opposing managers thought twice about walking Cabrera, so that gave Miguel a few more opportunities along the way. So, it's a devastating blow. They have to figure out what to do, and regardless of who they get in that position, more than likely he's not going to be Victor Martinez, obviously, but you've got to move on.
We're on Facebook, and people are sending all kinds of questions and comments for the interview tonight, and I kind of want to just sort of blend all of them together, talking about where the Tigers do go from here. Dave Dombrowski had a conference call yesterday where he basically said this is a punch in the gut. It is what it is. It's a tough thing to overcome. What do you think the Tigers are going to do? I mean, I think a lot of people are dreaming about a guy like a Prince Fielder or a superstar to come in for a while, but more realistically, what do you think they're going to do to fill that DH spot?
Well, I don't think Prince Fielder is realistic at all, and I think you're right. I think that obviously, if they go out and sign Prince Fielder, it's going to take $20 million a year, and that would give you three $20 million players on your roster along with Verlander and Cabrera, and that's just not going to happen. It wouldn't be prudent financially. And he just doesn't fit anyway. I mean, Prince is not going to want a DH, and Miguel's not going to want a DH or move to third base. So I think that's pretty much out of the question. I think that certainly the route they take is to look for a cheaper alternative. There are a ton of guys out there right now. It's just a matter of figuring out who fits the best and who would be worth the money. I mean, there are names like Johnny Damon and Carlos Pena and Carlos Lee and Vlad Guerrero. They're all out there. So I think Dave Dombrowski right now is trying to figure out, obviously, which way he wants to go. Do you want to try and trade for a guy to fit into that 5 spot in your lineup, or do you want to go out and make a one-year signing, give a guy, $6-7 million and have him fit into that 5 spot? But I think that's probably the way they're going to go, unless a trade presents itself. But, it's certainly a tough situation because you've got a little bit of time here, but, spring training is also right around the corner, and you want to get this thing ironed out as soon as you can.
Mario Impemba is the voice of the Detroit Tigers on Fox Sports Detroit. You can follow him on Twitter at Mario Impemba. Also, the voice of the Golden Grizzlies, Oakland in the Verizon League, 10-10, having a pretty solid season, huh, Mario?
Yeah, they're doing okay. They started out quickly, and Greg Campy has this typical, murderous schedule in pre-conference. He likes to play all the big boys, and, they took their lumps early on, but they're doing all right now.
You look at this Tigers team in the offseason that they've had, even before the V-Mart injury, basically picking up Octavio Dotel, Gerald Laird back in the fold. As you look at the offseason that the Tigers have had, what's your sense going forward? And no big splashes, no big names. Are you happy with the moves that this club has made in the offseason?
Well, I'm like every other fan out there. I would like to see us go out and get a big name. And, I thought we had a deal probably for Gio Gonzalez to add to the rotation, and that didn't come to fruition because Oakland just wanted way too much. This Cuban kid, Yoenis Cespedes, is out there right now, and, if they can somehow sign him, that certainly would alleviate some of the problems they have in that 5 spot. You can DH Delman Young and bat him behind Cabrera, and, Cespedes would hit at the top of your lineup. But that's somewhat of a long shot because of so many teams that are certainly in there. But certainly you want a little bit more. But the moves they've made, Dotel solidifies the back end of the bullpen. Laird gives Avila a much needed rest. Alex, I think, caught 133 games last year, which is way too many for a kid his age. I mean, he's still trying to figure his way through the big leagues. And he had an all-star season, but they pretty much ground him into the ground last year, and I think that showed in the playoffs. So it's been a quiet off-season, but really, before the Martinez injury, you had to like your chances anyway to win the Central. And, they got Jacob Turnip. They're possibly, looking to deal if the right deal comes along. But if it doesn't happen now, there's always a trading deadline, and, we'll see how the first half of the season plays out.
Victor Martinez out for the year. Allegedly, he was going to get a second opinion. You look at the offensive side of the ball, and what Delman Young brought to the team in a midseason trade. I didn't think much of it, I'll be honest with you, Mario, when the Tigers brought him in. But I don't know that they beat the New York Yankees and make it to the second round in the playoffs without a Delman Young.
Agreed, and I'm with you. When that deal was made, I thought to myself, what in the world are we doing? I got to be honest. I mean, Delman had a terrible first half. He was injured. He had a reputation of not being a guy that plays hard in Minnesota. Why does a guy that have all this supposed talent play with 2 or 3 different teams already at this point in his career? Why is he coming here? But David Dombrowski, I think, made a terrific deal. He knew that Delman Young's potential certainly could fit into this team. And you're right, his postseason really, really helped the ball club, and his stretch run really helped the ball club. Now, he's not the best defender in left field, but what he brings to you offensively certainly adds another dimension to your lineup, and certainly he becomes a whole lot more important now with the Martinez injury.
Where do you see Austin Jackson fitting into this lineup this year? I was listening to Dave Dombrowski talk about him earlier in the offseason, talking about how, to be honest, Austin's really not a prototypical leadoff hitter right now in his career, at this moment in his career. Do you think they stick with him in the number 1 spot, or do they move him around in that order a little bit?
No, I think they stick with him. I don't think, and basically because I don't think they have any other choices. I mean, who else are you going to have leadoff? I think that right now he probably is their best option in that position, but he strikes out way too much to be an effective leadoff hitter in the big leagues. If he can cut those strikeouts down, he certainly has the skill set to bat in that spot. I mean, a guy that can bunt, he can bunt for base hits, he can run, he can get things stirred up, he can hit for power occasionally. So, I think he's got the good skill set, but, the strikeouts remain a problem. And if those don't come down, then, he certainly can't continue to hit leadoff the rest of his career. And I'm with Dave. I mean, I think having watched him now and see what he can do over the course of a couple of seasons, I think he's probably better suited in other spots in the lineup. But, again, who do you bat leadoff? And I don't think that Jim Leland likes to rotate that leadoff position. I think he likes to stick the guy in there, a guy that can get the offense rolling, and if Austin can cut down those strikeouts, he could be that guy.
Mario Impemba is the play-by-play voice of Detroit Tigers baseball. You're a Michigan guy, born in Detroit, went to high school here, graduated from Michigan State, and off to California to do the Angels for a while. It's got to be a thrill for you to be back in your home state calling Tiger baseball going into your 10th year.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I actually completed my 10th year last year, so it was kind of a milestone for me. I mean, it's 17 years in the big leagues now. I spent 7 with the Angels, and when I got my first big league opportunity out in Anaheim, it was the greatest thrill for me because my goal had always been to be a big league baseball announcer, and I was able to reach that goal with the Angels, but I had always wanted to do it here in Detroit. I mean, we have such a rich tradition of announcers here, through the years, and especially with Ernie Harwell, the guy that I listened to growing up. So it's been an honor to be in this position, and hopefully will continue for the foreseeable future. Well,
you and Rod are a great team. I mean, it just sounds like you guys have a blast calling games, and the chemistry between you two over the years has really gotten to be fun to listen to.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, we like to have fun. I think that there's an entertainment element to television, and Rod certainly brings that along with his expertise of the game. I think that, baseball on television has kind of morphed into more than just the balls and strikes and the play-by-play. You've got to entertain a little bit. You've got to have some fun. You've got to have some yucks. And more importantly, you've got to leave your ego at the door. So I think both of us try and do that.
A couple other things I wanted to hit on, and then I'll let you go. Joel Zumaya, his tenure in Detroit came to an end this week. He has agreed to a contract to go to Minnesota, and I know that you've written a little bit about him on your website and gotten to know him a little bit. Just kind of put into context his time in Detroit and going forward, what kind of career he can look forward to.
Well, it's a shame what happened to Joel. I mean, I look back at the 2006 season, and I remember the 21-year-old rookie who, threw 103, 104 miles an hour. And, as I wrote on the blog, I remember all the great things about Joel Zumaya, the great experiences and the memories that I've had of him. And, and even when you think about it, especially when he was spraying champagne during the playoffs in 06. But, here's a guy that unfortunately just cannot stay healthy for whatever reason. He's had a couple of shoulder surgeries, a couple of elbow surgeries. He had the problem with his middle finger where he had to have surgery on that. So, I truly believe that, the Tigers did the right thing in offering him a chance to come to spring training and win a job, but they just could not give him a guaranteed contract based on the last 4 years. I mean, he didn't pitch last year. And, God bless the Twins. They're giving him a shot, and you certainly hope it works out for Joel, and you hate to see it if he comes back and, and pitches well against the Tigers, but I really believe the Tigers made the right choice here. Sometimes it's kind of best to move on, and I think they made the right choice in doing that.
With Joel Zumaya moving on, you take a look at that bullpen and what's left of it there. It's going to be pretty solid with the addition of Dotal, and of course the back end was so good. But that starting rotation, having probably the best pitcher in baseball for the last couple of years, and to be able to call his games, to call another Justin Verlander no-hitter, I'm guessing having the chance to cover him every 5 nights was a lot of fun.
He's a freak. I mean, that's the best way you can describe the guy. I mean, nobody else does what he does. Nobody else can pull out 102 miles an hour out of your back pocket in the 8th and 9th innings and throw it with consistent command. And, his strikeout to walk ratio last year, I think, was 5-1. He doesn't walk many. He throws a lot of innings. He's a workhorse. He goes out there every 5th day, and you're going to get 7, 8, 9 innings out of him. And those guys are gold. I mean, absolute gold. And the Tigers really did well to sign him to a long-term deal 2 years ago, because coming off of this MVP and Cy Young season, JV would have been a free agent this year.
Right.
They not locked him up. So imagine the amount of money somebody would have to throw at him. But that whole rotation, I think, is looking pretty good. And if, we can get Porcello to take that next step, they'll be in pretty good shape.
What's that like calling a no-hitter? I mean, I know you and Rod don't want to talk about it. You don't want to jinx the no-hitter. And in the back of your mind as a broadcaster, you got to be thinking about that moment when he gets that last out, how you're going to present that. And with Justin Verlander, he could throw a no-hitter any night out. I mean, he almost had another 1 or 2 no-hitters during the year. Is that something that's tough to call a no-hitter, or do you just kind of go with it and let it happen naturally?
Well, I think it can be a challenge. I think it's more of a challenge on television than it is on radio. On radio, and I've done 2 of them on radio, you really have to identify that a no-hitter is in progress, and you can't worry about the jinx thing on radio because people need to know what's going on. On television, we can do some things to let them know that there's an actual no-hitter in progress without actually using those words. And you kind of respect the jinx situation and not try and ruin it for the pitcher, because believe me, a lot of people believe in it. I don't happen to, but, I don't want to make anybody mad. So we kind of avoid it on TV. But, I think as you get to the 7th and 8th innings of a no-hitter, you really start to feel that it's probably going to happen. And so I think you just try and slow the game down. You know that if he does throw a no-hitter, that call is going to be replayed over and over and over, whether it's on Fox Sports, ESPN, CNN, whatever. So you don't want to screw it up. And so you just try and slow things down. But I've never been a guy that scripts things. You may run through some things quickly in your head, how many no-hitters have been thrown, things like that. But I certainly don't want to script a situation like that. I just kind of let it happen, and whatever comes out, comes out.
You're out on the road, Mario Impemba, with the Tigers Caravan all over the state of Michigan promoting this ball club. Tell everybody a little bit about what you're doing with the Caravan.
Well, that's going to be fun. I mean, it's always a fun time because, it may be snowing outside, it may be 20 degrees, but you're always talking baseball, and that warms things up. And we're going to get it cranked up tomorrow at noon. We have 2 buses, as we normally do. One goes out west, and one stays here locally in the Metro Detroit area. I'll be on that bus with, I know Verlander's going to be on that bus, Vila, Colin Ballister, the new Tiger out of the bullpen, Brendan Bosch. So, we got some big timers on that bus, and we'll be making stops, in Birmingham and Dearborn, all around Detroit. So it's a lot of fun. We get to meet Tigers fans and start to get them excited about Tigers baseball.
Well, you don't have to work very hard to do that around here. I mean, we talk Tigers all year round, and it's so cool to have you here tonight to talk about this ball club. March 2nd is the first spring training game. When will you and Rod head down to Lakeland and start to get to work?
Well, probably I have to finish up my basketball duties with Oakland, and the conference tournament finishes, I believe, on the 5th or 6th. So I'll head down shortly after that, of March, that is. And so I'll spend the final 3 months of spring training in March down in Lakeland. This year, we're still working on our schedule, so we don't know when our first telecast will be, but that always it depends on when I go down as well. So, I mean, obviously, if it's sooner, I'll go down sooner. If it's later, I'll go a little later. But I'd like to get at least 3 weeks in to kind of reacquaint myself with the team, watch them play every day, and kind of get a feel and a vibe for the ball club, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, you're a Spartan grad. Did you get a chance to watch the ball game last night at Ann Arbor?
I did. Well, actually, I had to record it because my son had a swim meet, and I was out at that. But I came back and watched it, and I tell you what, I did the Oakland Michigan game this year. I broadcasted that one on Fox Sports, and Michigan's got themselves a really good team. That Trey Burke can really play. I love his game, and Hardaway's a great player. So it's turned into a rivalry again. I mean, obviously, I didn't like the outcome last night, but it's good to see that there's a rivalry. I think Coach Beilein's done a great job at Michigan, and we all know what Coach Izzo's done. So it's fun to just finally see those two teams go at it again instead of the 20, 30-point spread that it used to be.
Right. One thing I didn't know about you, you're the former voice of the Peoria Rivermen minor league hockey team, and you also broadcast Spartan hockey for a while. Do you miss being out on the ice calling games?
Yes and no. I did 2 years of the Rivermen, which at the time was the St. Louis Blues affiliate back in the late 80s, so it's been a long time. And I did Michigan State hockey back at MSU. But when I first came back here to Fox Sports Detroit, they called some CCHA games, and they had me call a few of them. And I tell you what, I hadn't done them in a while, and it is really hard to get back in the saddle again for hockey. It's such a fast-paced game. So I'm going to leave the hockey to the guys that know how to do it. Matt Shepard does a great job with it. Kenny Daniels certainly is a pro. They can have all the hockey they want.
Well, we look forward to baseball with you and Rod in the booth for all the games this year on Fox Sports Detroit. The Caravan tomorrow up around Detroit area and around the west side of the state as well. Mario Impemba, we love talking baseball with you. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Great to be with you, and opening day is not too far away. Hang in there.